3, 2, 1.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us today. I know how busy everyone is, so thank you for taking time out of your day to join this parent forum. I hope you're safe and well as we navigate these challenging times. Now, firstly, apologies if you tried to join the well-being session yesterday. We had some technical issues, so we will be rearranging the well-being session for the 1st of February. So we will send more information out in the newsletter and also via email. I would like to say a big thank you lockdown. We were thinking really carefully about how we were going to support families and their children through this difficult period. So we start the day every day with tutor time, and that's really important for us, for students to have check-in with their form tutor. They're seeing someone who they're familiar with. We have our weekly PSHE program. We've continued to run our PSHE program for students. We also introduced house competitions. So those again happening virtually. We've had Come Dine With Me. Just to reduce the amount of screen time students are having each day. So that was really important that we took those feedback on board. And today really is to hear from you about things that you feel we can do better. Good to hear if there's anything that you feel we're doing really well, but it would be really good to hear from you. I'm conscious that year 8 have not done a full year in secondary school. So when they were in year 7, we had lockdown in March. And now in year 8, there is another lockdown. So I am conscious of the amount of learning time students have missed. So we can't presume that remote teaching is going to finish by February half term. All indications, I think, and this is just my opinion, that we will be doing this for the long haul, possibly until Easter. So it's really important that your children are engaging with the learning that is taking place online. Now, I'm going to ask Ms. Reed just to move my slide along to the next one. I think to get the best out of home learning, it's really, really important that your children are set up really well at home. And I know it's very difficult if you have other children at home, younger children, it's quite difficult for them to focus. But I think what's really important is they need a space, whether that's in their bedroom, whether that's in the kitchen, in the living room, where it is, wherever you're going to have this space, that they can focus. So you can see in this photograph, they need to have all their equipment, they need to have good lighting, they need to have a suitable electronic device, not their mobile phones. And if we have children who are using their mobile phones, we will provide a Chromebook for you, so your child be able to learn effectively using the right equipment. But more importantly, I think it's important that they get up in the mornings and they actually get ready, they dress for the occasion. Now, I'm wearing my suit and tie. Even if I'm working from home, I do put a suit on, I do put my tie on, because it puts me in that frame of mind that I'm going to work. Students will not be effective if they're lying in their beds, if they're still in their pajamas. It's just not going to feel the same. So we need your support to help them to make sure their mind is ready for online learning. Now, there's lots that we still need to achieve at the Hurlingham, and I'm really keen to listen to what you have to say today about things that we need to do moving forward. I'm also going to encourage you to follow us on Twitter. There's lots of updates that we do send out via Twitter, and also the newsletter we send out every Friday. So this was in the newsletter 2 weeks ago. So again, make sure you're reading the newsletter that we send out, and lots more updates to come in terms of what's happening in school for year 8 pupils. You'd have noticed that other year groups are not here, because I think year 8 is a critical year, and it's really important for you to understand what the school is doing to support your child's education, but also what you can do as well at home to support them as we go through this difficult time. So I'm going to hand over to Miss Reid now, who's going to take you through some of the highlights really of what's been happening at the Hurlingham Academy with year 8 students. Thank you.
Okay, hello everybody. I am Miss Reid and I am the assistant principal for Key Stage 3. So that does mean that I oversee year 7, year 8 and year 9. But I have to say year 8 do hold a special place in my heart. Obviously we love all and we care about all the children all the same, but they were the year group that started at the Hurlingham the same time as I did. So we've been through the journey and going through a journey together, and they are a fantastic, phenomenal bunch of children, as I know you are aware as well, because they are your children. But this is actually, as I've got on the screen there, this is the vision that Miss May has actually created for this year group. She focused last year a lot on them having character, and I think it's safe to say they've got some fantastic personalities. And now this year, Miss May has focused on the vision for them being the choices, their choices that they make. So she often says to them every week in their assembly, you are the choices you make, and encourages them to make the right choices. And we regularly have conversations with them about the choices that they've made that day. You know, sometimes children will say things like, oh, it wasn't my fault, and things like that, that we often explain to them about how everything they do is a choice, and encouraging them to recognise. And I think you would probably agree that as a group of children, and even just your child, you've really noticed that they're starting to think a little bit more about some of the decisions that they're making. And I've been super proud of them over this last year, really, at how fantastic they are becoming. But just a little bit about them. So year 8, they are a phenomenal year group. And as you know, every morning we get them lined up so that we can check their equipment and we can get them organised for the day, making sure that they've got everything that they need. You know that we have a focus on disruption-free learning, and it's making sure they've got all their equipment. Now, year 8 are actually the group that I do all of the different roll calls, and year 8 are the group that I get to last. We know that their staggered start is later on in the morning. Almost every time I go round to their lineup space, they're lined up before I even ask them to. And it's just a phenomenal demonstration of how focused they are on their learning. They don't want to be reminded that they need to line up, because that process takes longer, and then they don't get into school until a little bit later, which means that their learning starts that little bit later. And it just shows how conscientious they are, that when I go round to do their roll call, they're lined up already and their equipment is out ready for their tutor to check them. Well, not only that, they've worked really well as a community. So we knew that they wanted to be able to buy their equipment. Some of them may have been missing the odd item, and we said that we perhaps offer it out as a roll for one of the children. Now, we actually had 35 children apply for the roll. And as I'm sure you're aware, it's quite difficult to pick one child to be the school shop monitor. So what we ended up having to do was pick 2 children and have 2 different children every day. But it really is just another demonstration of how they're so focused on wanting to improve themselves and wanting to develop, that they're trying to add all of these extra skills in, and trying to find all these different ways to develop themselves and what it is that they've got to offer, they want to improve in. And it's a fantastic demonstration of them. And then a third example that I have, it literally just came to me actually, was They obviously, you know, that they do their clubs after school on a Monday, and they actually petitioned to have an additional club. There were some children who felt like there was a club they really wanted to be part of, and so they actually went to staff members, asked if the staff member would help out. They got a number of children to sign up for it. Just, they're so supportive of each other that the club then was instated as a club that the Year 8 children could sign up to. And then the Year 7s and the Year 9s heard about it, and now they're wanting to add their clubs as well. And it just shows how determined Year 8 are. If they want something done, they absolutely focus on it, and then lots of other children do follow. Like I say, there's a fantastic community amongst them. They're kind, they're caring, and they're so conscientious and want to do well. And they're an absolute dream to work with. And now it's not just me that thinks that, and I'm just going to give you some examples here of some of the things that their teachers have said about you. So Mr. Lai, one of their French teachers, he just said, "I just wanted to let you know how amazing set 1 was today in French. They're being considerate of others and working very hard." Now, Miss Mowbray, who's head of history, and she's also one of our tutors, well, she was a Year 8 tutor last year, and so she says 8I were amazing in our history lesson this week. They were being so supportive of others, follow instructions and working well. They made the lesson so enjoyable. They should be proud. And then Miss Sullivan, who is the head of art, and she is a Year 8 tutor this year, she said, "I just want to say I took 8U into the art room for the first time today, and they had such a fantastic lesson with 0 interruptions. Every single student was working hard. Such a lovely lesson today." Just 3 examples, and I've got another page. And to be honest, it was so difficult for me to pick all of these different things that the teachers are saying about them regularly. So Miss Venegas, one of our Spanish teachers and our vice principal for behaviour, she said, "My Spanish class has been working so well. They have an excellent attitude to learning languages, and she's very lucky to have them." Miss McGowan, who is a Year 8 tutor and head of drama, I know some of you probably know Miss McGowan, she said, "Just a note to say how impressed I was with Year 8 in drama lesson today. They were working really hard to learn their lines for their upcoming performance assessment. Also, their transition to the drama lesson from the science corridor was perfect, and they are so considerate as a year group." Miss Ahmed, the RE teacher, "Please praise 8R for their fantastic contributions to their RE lessons. They've been really engaged and making some great comments in the chat function." And then Miss Hisco for RE as well, "Well done to 8N for such a positive attitude towards their learning." And like I say, it was so difficult. There were so many of these comments about how fantastic your children are in their lessons. It's just a demonstration of how the children are so focused in their classes. And I know it's really difficult for you as you've not been able to come into school and meet their teachers. So I just thought it was really nice for you to hear and see some of the things that the teachers are saying about them. And these things, in actual fact, were not, I didn't ask any of them to send in emails about what they thought. This was messages that have been sent over a number of weeks. And when the children have assembly each week, Miss May will put these comments up in assembly so the children do see them, so that they get to be praised and recognised for all the positive things that they're doing. And then just a little bit about their achievement and their attendance since we've been in lockdown and they've been learning from home. So last week, Year 8's attendance was 95%. So the children were online doing their learning, and absolutely, it's just fantastic because they know they've got assessment soon and they are really focused on getting the work in so that they can achieve. And then some merits that the children have achieved, and here it is per tutor group, and it shows that even in these difficult times, they are still producing fantastic work and being awarded merits. And it's just another demonstration of how hard they're working and what a fantastic group of children they are. And to be honest, the only thing I can say when it comes to the attendance really is just thinking, are they on every single lesson? That 95% means there's the odd few that may have missed 1 or 2 lessons. And when this U group are such a fantastic group, it would be a shame to keep it at 95, to really push to get that 100%, so that they're in every single lesson, doing and working to the best of their ability, and making sure that they're getting everything that they need for those assessments. And we do know that their assessments are coming up soon. And just the last few bits from me before we get into our questions and answers for you. So looking to the next, at least the next 3 weeks before February half term, but we do have assessment week starting next week. And like I say, the amount that they're in their lessons is absolutely fantastic. It's showing that they're getting that learning, and they're obviously taking their assessments seriously. So assessment week does start next week, and each tutor group has their own personalised exam or assessment timetable. Now, the reason for that, obviously, we are in lockdown, so the children don't have their lessons all at the same time. They don't have that exam all at the same time, but we are asking the children not to talk to each other if they're having a history assessment at a different time to one of their friends. We want to be able to get clear results and a real understanding about areas for development and things that the children are doing really well. And if they're speaking to each other about what was in that exam, it may not give us a clear understanding of some of the areas that we still need to work on with them. And we really want the children to understand it's not a test of them. It is just as much learning about what they know as us working out what it is that we still need to teach and what we need to go over. As a school, we are so aware, as Mr. Wilson said, that your children have not been in school for one full academic year. So it's a great opportunity with these assessments for us to see areas that they're still lacking in, so that we can develop the curriculum enough so that those gaps are closed. So it's really important that they're not speaking to each other, so that we can work out the areas that they do still need to work on. So academic reports will be going home, and there will be an assessment of their attitude to learning. So it's not just the grade that they've got in their assessment, but it's also what have they been like in their lessons. The teacher is asking them to come onto the microphone or type in the chat function to answer certain questions, or they might be looking at their work and the amount of effort that they've put in their work. Have they tried to do the bare minimum? Or have they really, really worked hard on it? And like I say, we've seen some bits of work where the children have worked really hard and they deserve that recognition. But when we get those academic reports, there will be an assessment grade and an attitude to learning grade. And that is about their attitudes to how they're applying themselves. But that will come after February half term. And then a little plea from me really about how you could sort of support. It's just chatting with them, asking how their assessments have been, how they're getting on, how they're finding it, things that they've learnt. And if there's anything that you want from us, that's an opportunity as well. Please do ask us. If it is that you need a laptop if for your child, if it is that they're struggling with a particular area of their learning, please do just ask us. That is what we're here for. So please do encourage them to ask questions of their teachers if there's anything that they're concerned that they may not know for their assessment, but they do have their manifest, they do have everything online that they need. But again, ask them about it, ask them to teach you, and see how much they do and don't know, and work with them through it. And obviously I know it's really difficult, lots of you are working as well. I'm not expecting obviously of you to not work at the same time, but do just have the little conversations with them in the evening. And then lastly, before we go to the question and answer, is, as Mr. Wilson said, we are so conscious about the fact that we have not been able to see you face to face, and you've not been able to meet your child's teachers. So we are waiting for the guidance, because obviously your children are due back in school after February half term, and there may be some sort of face-to-face that we can offer. We're not sure yet, but after half term we will definitely have some more information about a parents' evening. And it may be that it's virtual, it may be elements that are face-to-face, but if it's a virtual parent evening, you will still see your child's teacher through the computer, so you can have a bit more of a personal conversation with them. So yeah, that's essentially a really sort of whistle stop about the year group. And as I say, they are an absolute dream. And I'm sure that they are going to succeed more than we could ever have expected of them. But I'm just going to move on now then to the question and answer section. And then after that, I will hand over to the head of year, who is Miss May.
So Miss, thank you very much, Miss Reid, for outlining. What we're going to do now is we're going to ask parents if you have any questions that you want to type in the chat function. We probably next time will have one where you can actually unmute your microphone and you can ask the question personally. But we weren't sure how many people we're going to have today. We have quite a few people online. So what we're going to ask is that if you have any questions that you want to type in the chat function, Ms. Venegas and other senior members of staff are there. They'll read those questions out aloud, and I, myself and Ms. Reid and Ms. May will try and answer as many of those questions that you pose. So just in the chat function, if you want to post any questions, then we will take those in turn and yes, and update you on what's happening in school. So over to you if you have any questions. It may be that everything is fine, you're happy with what we're doing as a school, which would be great, but I'm sure you must have questions about what we're going to be doing, seeing that your children have not had a parents' evening for pretty much 2 years, and we're going to do something remote, as Ms. Reid said, after the half-term break. It looks like we're going to be in this lockdown for some time, so it may very well be remote. So I'm exploring the possibilities of programs that we can use to conduct those meetings. Any questions coming through, Ms. Venegas?
So far, no questions.
Okay, guess we have very happy and contented parents at Hurlingham, which is always good. We'll just give it another minute, and then I'm going to hand over to Miss May. And while Miss May is presenting, if you think of anything, you can put that in the chat function and we'll come back to it at the end. So if we just give you another minute, if you want to type any questions, and we'll take those. If not, we can move on. So there's a question, Ms. Venegas, that has come through. Can you tell us a little bit about homework? So at the moment, we've tried to keep homework as normal as possible, and we're trying to use the platforms that we have, for example, Seneca, Hegety Maths. In year 7, we have Spark. We're trying to use those platforms for students to continue that habit of doing homework. So we're keeping the homework timetable as it is for now. So pupils should be receiving at least 1 or 2 pieces of homework. Now, there were some questions from parents as to whether we should carry on doing homework or should students have a break from homework. We felt that it's too important because homework will help to fill some of the gaps in students' learning. So we've asked teachers to set enough homework, not too much, so pupils can still maintain the routine of doing homework. Any other questions, Ms. Venegas?
Yes, there is one question about assessments. How will parents get the assessments outcomes sent to them?
So we will be sending this electronically to parents. So we've really tried to be green as much as possible at the school. So if we have a valid email address for you, there will be a detailed explanation of the reports that we will send home. We've just done that for year 7. Alongside that, we've also sent a video explaining how the report would work. So Ms. Reid, do you want to say anything about the year 7 report that went out?
Yeah, so the report that went out for year 7s, it had it color coded, so it was really clear to see, and the children were graded. I say graded; they were given an attitude to learning grade that went from outstanding, good, sort of needs improvement, and not acceptable, sort of, and they were sort of explained, really detailed explanations as to what it meant with regards to lessons and what it meant with regards to their attitude to their learning. And they were color coded, and then that also gave them a sort of progress band, a progress grade, what they could expect to be getting and where they sort of fit within their year group as well. And we would expect to do the same thing really with our year 8s.
Yeah, thanks very much, Ms. Reid. Any other questions around homework or assessments? While we're waiting for more questions to come through, just on the wellbeing sessions as well, again, this was something that was requested from students. We do, Ms. Reid did a survey of year 7, 8, and 9 pupils. And again, this was something we felt was really important for pupils to be able to express themselves, because it is quite difficult. I'm able to go into work every single day, and I know for your children, it's not possible for them to travel and see their friends. But we want to make sure we have that well-being workshop in terms of they're feeling low, what they can do to make sure they look after themselves. Any other questions, Ms. Venegas?
Yes, there are a couple of questions. One about is there anything that can be done for students to keep the friendships they already have in the school?
Yes, and that's something that we need to think about. I want to get a little bit creative with how we have the tutor time. So at the moment they meet with their form tutor, it may be, and we need to just explore and all the safeguardings around it, how we can get pupils in different tutor group to probably have some sort of interaction online, being supervised by a member of staff, of course. So that's a really good point, because I'm just conscious that some pupils have not seen their friends since December. And, we may be going into this long and extended lockdown, but I will take that point away and work with Ms. May and Ms. Reid and the senior team about how we can virtually, I would say, because that's the only way we'll be able to do it, virtually getting different friendship groups together. So we will definitely explore that.
Mr. Wilson, there is a very interesting question as well about a parent asking if a child doesn't do very well in the exams, in the assessments, will they be moved sets?
So at this point, taking into consideration the context of everything, what we're really interested in first in looking at is what pupils know and what they don't know. We haven't really discussed rank order of these assessments yet. I think we want to take it one step at a time, because it is difficult at the moment. I do not want any pupil to be disadvantaged because of the environment we found ourselves in. So the first bit for me is to look at the assessment data and look and see where the gaps are and try and fill those gaps. We haven't made any decision yet about movement of sets, but the main thing is what have they learned through lockdown since September, and that's going to be the focus. Would you agree with that, Ms. Reid? Yeah,
absolutely. I want to just really reiterate the learning what it is that they do know and finding those gaps, so that, as I mentioned earlier, it's potentially turning our curriculum around when they're back in school to make sure that they've got absolutely everything that they need to progress to the best of their ability. So it isn't about moving their sets necessarily, it's more about finding out what they do and don't know at this stage.
Okay. Any other questions, Ms. Venegas?
So far, no. We have been through all of them, Mr. Wilson.
Right. So what we will do now is to, I'm sure you all know Ms. May. I'm going to hand over to Ms. May, but if you still have any questions, if you type those in the chat function, and then we'll come back at the end. So Ms. May, over to you.
Thank you. I just want to start by saying good evening, and thank you so much for taking the time to be with us this evening. I've really enjoyed over the last couple of weeks hearing about your experiences of online learning, and also using this platform today just to be able to answer any questions that you still had. They were really, really interesting, and thank you so much. Also listening to Miss Reid reflect on the strengths of this year group, I have to say they are an incredible year group, and I was literally sitting here beaming with pride on how amazing they have been. They've shown that even through the hardest of times, they are still showing progress, determination. I think even more than myself, sometimes they are there ready to learn. And actually that they should be so proud of themselves, because I know that we all are, and so are their teachers. So I just wanted to say thank you for being with us this evening. I understand that our home learning experiences as teachers at times can be similar, but also very, very different to yours and the students. So I just want to share with you this evening just some feedback that we've been getting from you, and just to share some of the positives that we've seen with this kind of strand of online learning. So it's been so useful receiving feedback from you via our phone calls, our emails, and also from the students of Year 8, and just really explaining the realities of home learning. I think we have expectations as a school, and I know you have expectations as students and as parents, but sometimes the realities of that are very different, and it's been lovely hearing that actually our efforts and your efforts are actually aligning, and that the students are making really good progress. So I have to say thank you for your feedback. It has meant honestly so much to us, so thank you. So I'm just going to share some highlights with you now, just some positives. And I'm going to start with the students. So 76% of students have found their online learning lessons to be good or great. As you know, that Year 8s are quite hard critics, so I think that the good or great is amazing from them. I think 76% is really impressive, with actually the other 24% just saying that they miss the familiarities of school and just being in school itself. So I think on a whole, I was really, really pleased with that. Also, just the live elements of the lessons, I think that was where we were getting quite a lot of positivity. Moving from last lockdown to this one, we have moved from where teachers can be more interactive, and I know that yourselves and students have been really enjoying that, as have we as teachers. So some of the positive for that is that there was a better success rate, that students could actually feel a sense of success because the teacher was there with them, and that it was a lot more interactive, that when they needed help, instead of waiting for the answers, they could ask the teacher right then and there and be a lot more active in the lesson, and therefore able to care more about the result of that lesson. I've also enjoyed that you have been enjoying the lessons yourselves as adults, often being misaligned to kind of look at the lessons yourself, and the students as well have also said how much that everyone has been learning through that. Also, I wanted to just say I've received some exceptional feedback on the tutor time, so I'm really happy that Mr. Wilson touched on this and said that we're going to be using them. We're going to be furthering them as well, and making sure that they're a lot more interactive with the whole tutor group, which is amazing. I love that you really like that we were keeping high expectations of routines, especially. I know that it starts at 8:30, but it is just getting into that routine and having that really nice transition to the day, instead of starting with period 1 where you've got a teacher expecting you to learn really quickly, but actually the tutor sessions are there to provide reading and PSHE and all the things outside of subjects that are still really, really important, and we really want to carry on just to create that sense of normality through all of this chaos. Also, I was really happy, obviously, personally, from hearing some feedback about the assemblies. I love that students listen for their names and that they are really happy to receive their praise. We really want to praise them, and we want them to know that they are doing really, really well. So please, if you have time, they are every Thursday morning, just listening to see how your children are doing and to see what there is also to get involved in. I announced all the challenges that week as well. The riddles were a key favourite of Year 8, so I think I'm going to bring them back. So there's lots of things to get involved with, so please do that on a Thursday morning. And also any feedback that you have from those assemblies, or any suggestions that you have, I am more than happy to take them on board, so please do that as well. Also, your feedback, as supportive as it was, we were also really happy to receive some things. As I said, the realities of home learning sometimes aren't as what we are experiencing. So it was lovely to hear that you wanted more interaction with students. So we looked at those house challenges and we embedded them more into this week. And I know the students have really appreciated that, as well as the timetable. I know that from your feedback, Mr. Wilson looked at that and we've adjusted the timetable. So as I said, your feedback is crucial when we really use it to make sure that the home learning experience is effective. I think that's the main thing that we want to get across, that if there isn't something that isn't going as well as you would have hoped, or there's something, a suggestion or anything that is going well, as I said, we would love to hear that because it helps us so much. I just want to end by saying that I'm really looking forward to these assessments. I know that Miss Reid and Mr. Wilson have also been talking about these assessments, and I really don't want the students to panic or yourselves to panic. They are not there, as I said, as a test to throw in and really make students anxious. It's more to see, really, it's for an opportunity for them to show off. They have been working so well, and I think these assessments should be used as a place for them to really put down what they know and be so proud that really, by having both their years interrupted, that they've still made excellent progress. And if there are any gaps, that is exactly what we're here to do, is we're there to catch them up and make sure that this hasn't impacted any of their learning, because they are an incredible bunch of students and they care so much about their progress, and they care so much about their characters. So these assessments are just there to keep some normality and make sure that they can really show off to their teachers what they are doing. I also just wanted to say thank you so much as well for all of your support. I know it must be so difficult, but they are doing really, really well. So I just wanted to say I'm super proud of them. They should be proud of themselves, and just thank you so much. And please send any feedback that you have to us, because we will be looking at that. So thank you. And I will hand back to Mr. Wilson.
Yes.
Are you taking it from here? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Bay. You can see the joy, can't you? The pride when she talks about her year group. It's quite infectious, and it's just so good. And if you once we're through COVID, I mean, you must come in. And I know it's quite embarrassing for your kids to come in and do a tour, but you must come in once we're back to normal and really experience that sense of community. Because sometimes the image that parents do get of our school is that it's strict. But that's not the only thing to our school. It's a real sense of community for children, for teachers, and it's just a lovely place to be. And you may say, of course, you'll say that as a head teacher, but I would be happy sending my child to the Hurlingham Academy. And that's a real test of the kind of community that we've built there. So we're not going to keep you much longer, because I know most people have had a really long day. But if you do have any more questions, you can still submit those via the link in the email that was sent earlier today. We will still answer those. This is also recorded as well. So if you've joined us late, we will be sending you a link to this video by Friday. So again, you can watch it if you missed anything. Thank you very much for joining us today. I hope you found it useful. If you have any feedback, again, this is how we get better. Please let us know. Have a good evening, everybody. Thank you. Bye-bye.